In the bottom left, in the blue, generally playing in Vanguard, but playing the Infernals here, at least in game number 1, he's the Korean player. It's Refresh.
And in the top right, the red Vanguard player. He's been around for quite a bit, and another game for this man. His name is MaNa.
MaNa. Elmo's World.
Wait a minute. We went 2 different directions with that.
That we did, Rushy, but it's more fun like that.
That's fair. We had our moment where we were synced up, and now we're back on Oops All Chaos. And it's the way it's meant to be.
I mean, is that better or worse than Oops All Argents?
Way better than Oops All Argents. There's no moment that's better for that. Nope.
You know, it is nice that, granted, I think Celestial does need a little help right now. It looks like the economy is a little scuffed, and it's making it very hard, right? Because you got to go for this like three arc ship timing, and it just it means you're super vulnerable to all this aggression. But once that gets solved out a little bit, I am excited by the prospect of more than just Argent Crete that we saw Ariel trying a little bit. It wasn't quite able to make it work, but again, the prospect of Celestials actually being able to use their entire roster is an exciting one to me, even if we're still waiting on the big unit revamps for next patch.
I'm down. I'm so down for the idea of being able to use more than 3 units. It's my favorite. So, but are we going to get that same interaction here? It's one of the best matchups, in my opinion, right now, seeing Infernal versus Vanguard. We're getting set up into very early mech bay, so we'll get a chance to see some hedgehogs. Probably. Yeah, we got hedgehog on the production tab. This is going to be a fun little back and forth. I mean, this is our ladder map. We talked about that in a previous series, that not all of the maps in our pool are ladder maps, but Edge of Oblivion is, so that means a lot of people have had a lot of time to practice on this. And there is some very fun interaction for Vanguard players to use hedgehogs on this map and just be very, very quick back and forth. You can use those healing, I'm going to call them zones. I want to call them camps. They're not really camps, but the healing zones to get some of your push potential back after you do a little bit of harassment. It's kind of a nice way to punish a Infernal player who gets out on the map maybe a little bit too quickly, and definitely gives you some pretty decent map control.
Yeah. That is very true. And in general, I mean, we just talk about how strong these fiends are, man. It's I don't think they're as bad as Storyteller Dave is pushing as strong as he is pushing them in the Discord about how literally they're the most broken thing ever and it's horrible and I can't believe they did this. But it is still 24 damage a second. And yeah, they're kind of squishy, but it's still a bit of a problem. So, and they actually can't really fight right now. They got to go heal themselves back up to full as we do see this pressure from MaNa. I'm really curious to see how Refresh chooses to deal with this. Right? Because Refresh is a Vanguard player, probably, again, the strongest. I don't think I'm too crazy to say the strongest Vanguard player in this tournament. And he's gonna, if anyone knows exactly how to deal with this hedgehog nonsense, it is gonna be him, right? He is the one that has that more than anything else. He's been playing against it. He knows what kills him. So for now, the answer is you lose a lot of Gons to it and you run brutes at them just to get them away, but you're not gonna kill them, so the answer right now is bad trades. Is apparently what we're looking at.
I mean, yeah, that's largely going to be the direction that you have to go if you're not going to utilize that. We are getting Soulbrand Chakrams upgraded, so that's going to allow the Gaunts, which are honestly the best natural enemy to the Hedgehog right now, the opportunity to inflict curse, so that's going to be super helpful. But until they have speed, until you get that Reaper's Rush out onto the map, these Gaunts are just not going to be able to trade very well. And neither of these units have their speed upgrade at this point. And it's going to be Flame On Imps that are going to be moved out right now here by Refresh. An interesting direction to head, as MaNa is just going to completely dismantle all of this army that's sitting here right now.
It's super dicey as well when we talk about this. Flame On, it's a lot of damage. And they were recently buffed. Well, shadow buffed in 0.5, maybe 0.4, where all of a sudden, instead of lasting like 5 seconds, they last 14 seconds. So you're able to go with these flaming imps and just chase things down and make life difficult. Problem is, when you're only on 2 bases, you don't really have a good way to get enough imps out. It's it's a problem. Ooh, nice lash there on top of the Faerun. So that should die. Yeah, it's going to tick down to the very end. That's a Phantom. And that is already fairly nice here as the Weaver continues to move forward. You get it for the lash. You're not getting it for the damage as much because Hedgehog's 230 HP, 23 damage a hit. It's not horrible, but you really are getting it for the lash. And now Flaming Imps are done. Problem is that this third base is only just now getting started, Rushy. Third base done. It's fully set up in mining. It has been for a while for MaNa. So this economy that Refresh has, it's not enough to support the Flaming Imps that he's committed himself into.
Well, and it's going to be the production as well, because right now it's Refresh that's locked into 2 Conclave and 1 Iron Vault. And yes, you're going to have access to Hellspawn Resurgence. That's going to help, but it is not going to balance things out with an opponent who's got multiple mech bay at his disposal. He's utilizing some of these solar habitats as well to increase that production speed. So that's working against him as well. Reaper Rush is just about done. I don't know. I'm not sold on Flame On. I understand the benefit, but it comes at such a great cost, and especially when you're playing from behind, I just don't know if you really want to sacrifice yourself even further to that goal. But this is the direction that we're headed here. Reaper's Rush is now complete, so I think that these units are going to be able to fight just a little bit more effectively with those Hedgehogs, especially as we do have some Conclaves finishing on site.
Imps.
So those are going to be units that are getting in. Flame On Imps are going to be able to get out there, but will they be able to connect? No, those Hedgehog are going to say, see you later, and try and outrun things. Beo, I don't know if they're going to be able to catch up.
They're trying. There's going to be 1. All right, Flaming Imps make... God, these last for forever. So they are valuable, and they totally force you off of it. And remember, first Stormgate went the way of MaNa. Now you got a couple Weavers. They do 200 damage a hit to this Stormgate. So they actually do a very nice job of taking things down. And now when we're looking at 4 Conclaves, this is a decent concave of guns. You're going to be able to go take that out. So second Stormgate is going to go the way of Refresh here. And those 4 Flaming Imps did so much in just forcing MaNa off the position. That has bought the third base up and running. It's now fully saturated. It bought the Stormgate. It has these Void Prowlers, which are so useful. Either as a harassment tool, 34 damage, blink into even positions where they don't have vision into this fog of war, but also just as a very nice way to just lock your opponent into place. You blink behind them, you serve them, you really treat them as a bit of a, like a bit of a body block there, but now, well, they thought about blinking into the high ground and looks like they will do so. So that's going to force a bit of a trade here. MaNa, we'll be able to go take the Tribute Pyre on the left side as the Gaunts run over to deal with that one. But these Void Prowlers in the main base, even with the overcharge, which actually hasn't been popped, it's a lot of damage. And they really do start to shred this. So now they're going to get this Sentry Boost. The Match Repair is not there. MaNa not paying attention until he is. Blink is on cooldown for quite a while, though. And looks like these Void Prowlers are going to have to run away into the line of sight blocker and back down to the low ground, where they're going to find some med techs. But the healing looks like that's also not going to be enough. So the Void Prowlers, they force MaNa back. That is incredibly useful. But they're not going to win a fight. They're not going to go wipe out a base, which is the kind of eventual, the ideal goal when this happens. But now a bunch of Hedgehogs are going to get found out on the map here, Rushy, and a couple of them will fall. So Refresh, early game pressure, kind of scary. He's playing this map beautifully from here on out.
Yeah, it's a very good recovery here for a player who is definitely a little bit down on his luck. And now he's got the units here to deal with the Vulcans. Very, very crucial lashes here from the Weaver. They can't spend their time out in front, though, because once those lashes are gone, like you said, those are not as useful. A beautiful use of those Flame On Imps. I'm being converted here, BeoMulf. Maybe there's some magic to these units here, as that upgrade is providing him an incredible amount of leverage on this position here. And now suddenly MaNa is without anything. He's losing all of his defensive structures. He's having to evacuate the 4th base location. There's Shroud everywhere in the entrance of this natural BeoMulf, and this is just all falling apart for the Vanguard player.
That it is. You know, you're not the only one being converted. The Imps were as well. From regular Imps to Flaming Imps. And they just get on top of everything. And given this setup, your job, right? The entire goal of this Vanguard army is to sustain, is to just out-heal everything that's happening, get all the Vulcans spun up, and that's what you're looking for. Well, we don't have Molten Touch. We're only on tier 2. But with the Weaver Lash, taking down a lot of these Vulcans, they dash in down. You can actually buffer that, by the way. You can dodge the Lash, but MaNa's not quite able to pull it off. And then you bring him in there, and then all of a sudden the Flaming Imps just blow everything up. Burst base healing. certainly that's what Refresh is showing us in this game one as he goes up 1-0 in this best of 7.
I get the sense that this is just going to be an Infernal Vanguard series, which I'm not hurt over. I think that's going to be fine. It is going to be a map that offers corner spawns, which is nice. I mean, this is kind of like an homage to StarCraft 2, especially in the more modern era of ladder map designs. Very, very nice. Get your players as far apart as humanly possible. Lots to fight for in the center. I do love how many like lanes there are on this particular map. The shout out to the community map makers. Like, they are phenomenal at what they do. There's absolutely no disrespect to the people who are getting paid to make maps right now, but as we've seen throughout the RTS community, there are a lot of passionate people that just know how to make really good maps, and we salute you.
I mean, remember, Rushy, there is no one necessarily being, yes, if you do make a map as part of your job, you're getting paid to do it, but there's no dedicated map team at Frost Giant.
Sure.
You know, Cult Fiction went in, he made Ruination. People have been making maps, but there's, again, no dedicated map making here. So the community, they're going to spend 30, 40, 50 hours, however long it is to make this map. Yeah, of course it's going to be better. They're spending the time. It is their hobby. And there's 20 years, 25 years of StarCraft 2 map design. That shows us just what is good, what is not good. Well, losing a servo is not good. I can tell you that one.
Ooh. Okay. The Fiends are going to be able to dance around and create. And eventually there's going to be overcharge that will be able to clear this back out in a way, but obviously really don't want to just waste those at an inopportune moment. Not to mention, probably can't get it right now. There's just so many worker kills right now. Lancer should be able to finally come in and deal with it. That one servo did have to stand tall on its own and clear that out. So finally the Fiends are dealt with. The overcharge is not going to need to be used defensively, but it should put Refresh kind of in a position where he can continue to keep a little bit of pressure on his opponent, who is now going ahead to try and take his third base. It's an awful early third command post, in my opinion, and that's really going to put him out of depth to really be able to contest for that first Stormgate.
Well, you say that, but Refresh is also going for that rather quick third base. It's a big map. And the one thing that I think is kind of interesting here, not the one thing, but what I think is kind of interesting here is that this is a map that has one Stormgate, which means that your pressure also secures you the Stormgate. It's not like, what's a good example here? Even say Edge of Oblivion, which is a small map, but like you're pushing through one side, Stormgate spawns on the other side, you can go and maybe sneak one. And this one here, it's like, yeah, you know, as the mech bay is gonna get, man, I think we have like 5 or 6 dead servos from the just early little bit of Fiend harass. It is a problem that MaNa is struggling to deal with this, unfortunately, making his life much more difficult as another servo goes down. And anyway, talking about this, you push through, the aggression does often win you the Stormgate in a way that doesn't necessarily happen on other maps. But it's still, you know, with the early base that we're seeing, not a lot of units on the map for either side.
There are going to be just enough here, I think, for Refresh to get some decent damage down onto the Stormgate. So this is more than likely going to be an Infernal take. Yeah, 1 Hedgehog, 2 Lanterns, not going to be near enough. Private Barfy is not going to be able to hold this one down. So the Fiend is going to be able to scout that this comes forward. And I think MaNa now has to shift his focus into basically just denying that Stormgate from being taken. Because now with the update to how that interaction takes place, I mean, he's got to be able to clear all the damage of the blue back to his side so he can fill it with red. I think in the end, it's really not a big change. It is just visually a lot more striking to follow. So yeah, trying to deny that is about all he can do. Not going to be able to make that happen. So that first Stormgate does get procced here. We haven't seen a Soul Forge yet in this series, and it's going to continue that way. It's going to be a creeping horror for Refresh this time around. And now it's just going to turn into some really, really nice aggression here, because you can push forward with that creeping horror, really slow down the positioning of your opponent's units. And right now, MaNa really does not have a whole lot to defend with or attack with.
Rushy, I'm sorry, creeping what now?
Horror?
Horror.
Horror.
Horror. I swear the devs were like, yeah, we're going to find all the casters and we're just going to make their lives miserable. We're going to give them a name.
Wait, what did you think I said?
You know, we're not going to talk about it. It's fine.
Okay.
You know, I am having a lot of fun though, just clicking on. Not every unit has its own name, but a lot of them do, and I'm just really enjoying like clicking through the different ones. One of these Lancers is Private Scooter McGunk.
I just found him.
Unfortunately, the Hedgehogs, I guess because they're machines and you know the pilots might have names, but Hedgehogs don't have names. But you know, we have the Wolf of Wildfire, Sun Whisper, Zephyriel Duskwing, the Infernal Theorist. It is a lot of fun, just kind of clicking around and seeing what names get. They're not randomly generated, by the way. These are people that got the Name a Unit reward in Stormgate. So they were able to submit a unit for, you know, Vanguard, Infernal, Celestial, and then it gets randomly chosen. So someone decided a Gaunt needed to be named Lord Morrowind or Morrowind at some point in time, and there it is.
That makes a lot more sense. I had forgotten that was a thing that existed. So very, very cool. So fun little way to put a little bit of ownership into the game. Like that. Creepy Rush is about to finish.
Oh,
love that.
Yeah.
So go ahead. You had more ideas?
Yeah, no, I do enjoy as well. You can see like people like, clearly these are all Infernal names, but like people had different ideas about what Infernals were. You know? So like you have the Wolf of Wildfire. He's very like Viking, sure, you know? And then you have very orcish names. Then you have like more naturey names. Like Voidcaller Zest is a, that almost feels like a Brandon Sanderson type thing. Right, so like it's kind of fun seeing where people's different naming conventions came from. Talk about these different lanes. This is a high ground as the Hedgehogs, they move forward, but a little bit spooky. Second Stormgate on the way though, and I'm not sure MaNa's at a point where he's properly going to be able to contest this.
I mean, he's getting the upgrade, so I forget what it's called. Don't tell me. I will find that machine someday in my lifetime. Oh, there it is. It's the transonic rockets. Of course, I knew that. But I agree with you. It's going to be a dive in here, but he's going to try and trade out the momentum for that Stormgate, and he's just not even going to be able to do that. So he does have to back up, because if he loses all these Hedgehogs, there's no reason for him to stay in this game number 2. He will have lost everything for nothing. But I fear that might still be the case at this point as well, because the second Stormgate gets cleared pretty quickly. It's the unstable Necrolusks that are going to be able to come out and cause some crazy damage. These units deal so much splash damage as they sacrifice themselves. They're slow for a reason. They're slow so you fear them, BeoMulf.
They do, but getting them into a fight for the most part can be very difficult. I want to see Harbinger drops. And actually, is it worth, and this is a decent question here, is it worth getting Seismic Slam? I think Seismic Slam is a great upgrade as it is, but getting Seismic Slam and getting that Blood Tree out so you can go and Seismic Slam on top of the army and then Necrolusk them, because it's like a 2-second stun. It is a strong thing. It doesn't work always the way you would like. It kind of, sometimes the slam goes down and hunts for a position. It's not quite as performed as you would necessarily like it to have, but for now, we got a big attack on the north side, and the Weavers kill structures very quickly, so that's all gonna get taken down. And the Necrolusks are here moving forward. MaNa in a bit of an awkward position, kind of caught in transition as he tries to develop this late game. And a single Sentinel, even though it does make your army a little faster, Rushy, doesn't quite do enough. Well, actually, wait, if you kill the Necrolusk, does it do friendly fire?
That's a good question. I don't think so. I mean, there's a lot of refresh that aren't taking damage right now, but oh my gosh, there's so much dead positioning here for MaNa. Those Necrolusks are going to go up and destroy themselves on the buildings. You can see just how much damage they deal to those structures, but I think right now the whole focus is on the army on the lower right-hand side. There's just enough Gaunts here. Shroud continuing to spread forward. Effigy's able to deliver additional curse to these Hedgehogs. And with the creeping horror still in the map, BeoMulf, I mean, these fast units don't have any position power, and that's going to force him to tap out. GG is called. And the Vanguard player has not found good footing here in this series. He falls down 0-2 to the Infernal player.
So, big map, small map, doesn't really matter. Even when the Hedgehog's moving across, Refresh has the answer. He's able to build this Death Star of an army, and just MaNa not quite able to scale. Although, in fairness, a lot of that goes back to the Fiends. I think we saw 5 or 6 servos go down early game. And that's a significant percentage of your early game economy if you're a Vanguard player.
Well, it's the fact that you lose so much of it to so little. I mean, it's 100 Luminite for that opening brute. And if you can, I mean, then you just have to kill 2 workers. You kill 2 workers, you have paid for it in full. And then there's the additional math of, oh, well, it's not technically just 100 Luminite for 2 workers. Think about all the potential that they have. And then the mathematicians go crazy with that. I do not do that. But it's such a little investment to get so much harassment done. And I'll be honest with you, BeoMulf, feels a little strong right now. Nothing we can do about that. But I do think it is a good observation to figure out how players want to play into that opening aggression here with these Fiends. Because the Fiends do a lot of damage. We've talked about that. They are pretty weaselly. They are weak. So it's not like they're impossible to deal with. But they're definitely getting a lot of bang for their buck.
Oh,
brutes do cost 150. You're right. Still,
yeah.
3 workers. Oh, no. My point still stands.
I love, by the way, how they buff brutes by 5 HP. Not because, like, that's not a massive buff, right? That's a 2.5% buff. But it now makes it easier to determine if you're over or under 90% HP. Like, they buffed it specifically because they know gamers can't do math. Do I still have a rush? I do still have her. Okay. More Fiends are going to show up here, but Lancer's doing a decent job as MaNa overcharges, gets himself into a 3rd base up and running.
Sorry, my brain turned off. So if you asked me a question, I missed it.
I was just talking about how gamers are bad at math.
Oh, well, I got to stay out of that discussion because I am the worst at math.
Yeah, that's why you're a band teacher. Sorry.
So true.
Like, you got to do, you know what? If you're in the wrong clef, and you know, like, how many notes do I have to transpose this thing?
Yeah, see, you're showing off your musical understanding. So
I mean, that is math. Yeah. I have to move 7 notes down. Sure, it's great. That's math, right?
No. Well, we've got double mech bay on the way. That's crazy. We should talk about that. Oh, actually getting a pick off on that worker. Yeah, it's just the continued harassment here. At some point, it also becomes not a war of numbers, but it's a war of attrition. Just constantly having to relocate your servos, having to keep track of whether or not the building that I set to build actually got built or not. And it really doesn't come at any cost on the opposite side of the map. There's a scout that goes over. Bleep the Scout sounds like it's got an inappropriate name. I promise, it's just Bleep. But there really isn't much happening harassment-wise on the opposite side. So it's going to turn into a very similar song and dance here. It's going to be a Stormgate that pops up here that is not going to be overly harassed by the Vanguard player. He's going to have to give that up. But this time around, it is a little bit better economic situation. We've got a third base situated. We have a worker count that's starting to get set, although I'm taking a look at the natural, and the natural is not really saturated at this point. This is still kind of a tricky situation.
Look at what we got from MaNa, though. This is, I think, where Vanguard starts to look really cool, is that he's got double Vulcan on the way, sure, but he's also got a hangar bay done. So we're going to go into Vulcan drops in this game number 3, trying to take advantage of how big the map is and how there's a decent amount of dead airspace. So you can kind of sneak a Vulcan into the main base. Once they start to charge up, imps get shredded. They're not light units, but they still just get absolutely shredded. The splash damage can be very, very solid. And because this is a long map, it's not like, even though we did see an actually, I'm sorry, I should have, there we go, the creepy horror. Despite the fact that, you know, it's a Stormgate, it is given over to refresh, the map is big enough that he's not going to be able to go for a great big push, which means that you can actually afford to put a significant percentage of your army supply in this drop play on the other side of the map and not worry too much about getting too punished for it.
I mean, it's got to get some damage done, though. Like you're sacrificing a lot economically against an opponent that has not been harassed at this point, really has not had to deal with a whole lot of economic shift. So this has to be the shift. It's got to be a moment where he zips in here. And right now he's going to catch this army just trying to move out, so it will be out of position. These imps are going to all line up, and they become just a firing squad at this point, but not really losing all too many. I think only a couple of imps actually go down, but these units are going to get picked up as well. So evac is going to have to be very careful here. Starting to take a little bit of damage, and as these Gaunts get underneath, they're going to be able to harass this a little bit further. Does it get out? It does. 22 health is all you need. It's just a resource, BeoMulf, but MaNa did not find the damage that he needed to do for the amount of cut that he had to make that happen.
I don't know if they cut it that much. Realistically, we're looking at how little was mining in the natural. Part of that is a lot of workers just being used to build other things. It was still decently saturated. The problem is he lost Vulcan. He was forced to leave it behind because the army rotated. So he kills the Weaver. He gets a couple workers there. But yeah, no, losing the Vulcan is why this was very much not worth it. But okay, he's committing into this, right? We got a second evac on the way. He's going to be going for multiples of these drops, and you can use this as an aggressive option. You can dive into a base, try to kill off a worker line fairly quickly. You can also use it to set up really nice flanks to go get the Vulcans in an awkward position, get really good stuns off, and go from there. But for now, first drop coming out once again. It's going to find this fifth base that Refresh would like to find, and he's going to find a fourth. No workers there, not really. So it's going to kill off 2 imps maybe, just about that, and not even that one. But as the Gaunts arrive, Gaunts are not really the solution to this. It's once you add the Brutes and once you have something else. So evac's going to run away, returns to hangar as the Shadow Flyers arrive. And there should be a second one. Where's our... Okay, second evac is there. And MaNa is just trying to flex at StarCraft 2 chops right now. He's got 2 drops going. He's going for the multi-prong. Sentinel's getting added in as he continues to try to scale, but... Hey, big maps, I'm here for it. Yo, get the drop pressure going. See if you can find the value. For now, though, Refresh, he's got the second Stormgate. What does he want here? What's the primary target out of this second Stormgate?
Oh, it's gonna have to be something useful here as he thinks about it for a while. The Sky Hunters, I really like that choice here. Those units are able to do some bonus damage to flying units. I believe they also stun them as well. Oh, good use of those flame on imps to put a lot of damage done, and then comes in with the Shadow Flyers. Those are 2 dead Vulcans at that point. So I don't know, it feels like a little redundant there to try and sacrifice the imps and also sacrificing the Shadow Flyers as well, but is going to be able to find the damage that he needs. These Sky Hunters, though, are going to now bully everything back. That Sentinel that was going to help support this army, BeoMulf, that's no longer going to be able to hang out in the skies.
No, it isn't, but the nano bubble's on the way soon, just about done, and that's minus, I want to say 75%, might even be more, range damage. So you put the bubble down, Gaunts just don't do damage. And you know, I know you said, nice imps. I mean, those imps were not going to kill the Vulcans. And then instead of just losing the imps, which is already expensive, now you're losing imps and you're spending Therium on top of it. So, you know, if you were going to get trades, I'd say absolutely worth it. But they didn't get anything. Now, again, you talked about, well, you lose the Vulcans anyways. Shadow Flyers coming in from a nice angle was fantastic for Refresh. And now the high ground here with these Sky Hunters, which, by the way, not only do they do damage, they stun the target for half a second when they attack. So these air units are very spicy as a Weaver gets taken down at the very beginning. Sentinel's gonna get taken down, gets the bubble down in time though. And that means these Gaunts are just not doing a lot of damage. They gotta yoink things out of it to make sure you can get the damage that you're looking for. But even still, this concave is way too strong. And it does feel like Refresh just has I mean, the Vulcans are standing tall here. I was like, it feels like he's got way too much. But he doesn't. That nano bubble lasts so long. And now the Vulcan hot drop on top of the Hellborn here. And not going to be able to dash forward, not getting the stun, not confirmed. But that was actually a pretty good fight for MaNa. I thought that was just horrible. I thought he was going to be way too surrounded. But upgrade's not there. Refresh forced back.
Yeah, those Vulcans came in on the high side and had a perfect line of sight on the Gaunts and were absolutely able to decimate that encroaching army. And Gaunts be some of the secret winners in some of these fights. The amount of curse that you can put onto your enemy army is so crucial if you want to look into the length of a fight and how you can drag things out to the point where, yeah, the bubble gets taken care of, it's removed from the engagement, and just that additional extension into the later portions of fights. So important, but you gotta have Gaunts and you've got to have a way to curse the army. So Refresh going to come in with an additional way to do that. He's getting Miasma researched at this point. So I think that's a good use, especially against mech. It forces those clunky units to have to constantly reposition. And every time a Vulcan is forced to move, it loses a lot of its damage potential, BeoMulf, which is a great way to limit the amount of damage that MaNa's able to give in a fight.
It does, and we don't have peak performance yet either. So if you move and you lose some damage potential, theoretically, if you got peak performance, you can just dash and get it right back up to full. But without that, a little bit awkward as these Shadow Flyers, they see what's happening, but they're just going to go down early, not quite able to find any Flyers. But now, okay, here's the rest of the army. Where's our Sentinel? Now it's going to come in, and without Shadow Flyers, not a good way to deal with this. So the Nano Bubble's going to be there. Certainly, we do have Hellborn. They do have Molten Touch, which is very nice against the Nano Swarm. It means you take 90% less healing, so it's incredibly impactful against just the HP this army has. But MaNa feels like he's starting to hit Exodia, right? He's got these healing, he's got the Nano Bubble, and he's now got himself a Swarm Mother as well. Gives all these tiny little Swarmlings. It's effectively a Broodlord, but not quite as toxic. And it's just a lot of stuff to fight through. So now this fight's gonna go once again. Miasma did go down. Everything's gonna be cursed up here, but Miasma, it doesn't do percentage-based damage anymore, so it's good against the small units, not against the big ones. Flameim's gonna try to make contact, but it's only gonna be okay. And that's just not going to be the fight that you're looking for. The Dragon's out now. Flaming Imp's now ready to go here. Refresh on the high ground. The Nano Bubble's here, and you just do not fight into this one. You got to run away. Imps are going to get taken down. Flaming Imp's looking for a little bit more, but they're just going to get gunned down before that happens. As now, more of these Swarmlings start to get spawned up here. Miasma would clear them off. But this army that MaNa has, very difficult to deal with. Not a lot of anti-air though. Hedgehogs, oh no, Hedgehogs take the Dragon down, but now Flaming Imps on top of everything. Can you blow this army up? Looks like maybe. Oh man, all the Vulcans are gonna fall down. Hellborn on the backside here. MaNa's losing a lot of his army, but what remains, there's no burst anymore. No good way to take a lot of this down. It's these lower range Hellborn on the backside. MaNa is gonna get forced back. Refresh holds the position, but it's expensive. You lose the Dragon, you lose a bunch of Imps, you lose a lot of your frontline units. But you're gonna try to chase forward here, Rushy. This does not feel good. Running away from where the Imps are is just, it feels incredibly dicey in this late game.
Well, especially since I think there's so much potential for Refresh to be able to come back with a stronger, more diverse army, especially since those Hellborn have largely gone untouched. So yeah, you lose the Dragon, but the Dragon wasn't really bringing that much to the table for that army. It's good. The Dragon's good, but it really was coming down to the Hellborn dealing so much damage, the Weavers pulling crucial units out of position. And when you're constantly trading out smaller tier 1 units on the Infernal side for larger tier 2, tier 3 units on the Vanguard side, you gotta feel really good as Refresh. So yeah, MaNa being forced to walk away from being able to do additional economic damage feels terrible, especially since Refresh is now going to start putting in a little bit of economic damage of his own. He's gonna be able to scout out those top right bases and do just a little tour and peace out. But this is an interesting Stormgate position here. Top right corner, that's gonna be a heavy contest here. I don't know if MaNa can afford to not at least contest it. He has got to be able to prevent that final, probably the final Stormgate collection of this game, because it's going to come with a major benefit for whoever is able to grab it.
The game's getting really twisty though, because on this big map, MaNa's army, bottom left side, there are multiple bases here that he would love to take down, even as he loses some of his own. Stormgate though will go the way of Refresh. MaNa had no way to properly contest this. So let's see, what does Refresh want out of this? What's the big game turning thing that gives him what he needs? He's actually just not selecting it. He's like, I gotta deal with this. Oh yeah, Flame Amp's gonna go down to the Vulcans, not enough to kill him. And what did we get? We're getting to the point now where it's gonna randomly choose. He's gonna get a dark, he's gonna get a base. It's strong, but like a deep one, a Swarm Mother, being able to clone multiple things. It's good, I guess, but man, I don't think that this is the Giga Stormgate reward that you're looking for with all this position that you've had. It is good though for Refresh. He's maxed out, right? He has taken down a lot of MaNa's army. You're taking down these bases. These Magmadon's killing off a lot of these servos. And this Dark Throne is, it's on a bit of a walkabout here.
Oh, imagine it just turns itself into a giant shroud production machine here. It's
Oh,
going to be able to
wait,
reunite with the army.
Drop it for imps. Drop it for flaming imps. I think that is actually the play, but the nano bubble's gonna force things out for now. Unironically, you get yourself, I think, you get the 3 imps for free, and then you get another full charges. So you get like 8 imps. And you get in production pretty quickly. Dropping it for a bunch of flaming imps does seem like the proper play, but refresh now, I'm really surprised we're not seeing him do this, as we're gonna see some Stacy's go down on this backline, which is really forcing the concave to not work. Is this Dark Throne just sitting here? Like, it's just not doing anything. I really think you could do some cool stuff with this as refresh, but it doesn't really seem like it's gonna matter now. He's up 100 supply, taking everything down, but now Atlas is moving in. Nano Bubble doing a great job on the repair, even as one of these Vulcans dies to curse. And finally, the Dark Throne's dead. No value here whatsoever. You could have done some really cool stuff with that. As it stands, least impactful tier 3 Stormgate I've seen in a long time.
It's been a few. It's been a while since we've had one that kind of disappointed in, but I think Refresh just didn't have any read on it. It was something that it auto selected. He just like all armied it, grabbed it into a group, and then just like called it good. So my guess that's the direction that we head. And Refresh, he's got bigger views anyways. He wants to win the game. BeoMulf, harassment here on the top right hand corner. Huge stomps forward onto the main part of this mech army as everything's going to get situated out. These units are going to be forced to spread in directions. They're not even in the bubble anymore. They were completely pushed out, and that means that all of the damage prevention, that's not going to fall onto these units. That's going to fall into the trap of a feeling like you've got something to stand for, and instead it's going to be a complete collapse here of his army, his economy. Everything is starting to close in on the main base, but I think MaNa is going to get out before it gets too ugly. GG is called. He had a great moment. He almost made it work, but Refresh captures a moment and grabs a 3-0 lead in the series.
All right. Game 3, probably my single favorite Stormgate game that I have seen, at least on this patch. Early days, but maybe even just more than that one. It looked really good. We just have to see if MaNa can do more than just play a really good game. Question now is whether he can take down Refresh at all. He's 3-0 on the side of our Korean Infernal player.
I like the opening choices here for MaNa. He's tired. He's tired of messing with this guy, getting into late games. It's not working out. So instead, he's just going to go for this early mech bay. I like that. I think this is about what he needs. He needs to punish his opponent who has been doing the literal same thing to him. Just taking a couple of units, getting across the map, just causing a whole lot of chaos and disrupting the opening flow. And this is probably his best opportunity to do so. Refresh started with a shrine first opening. Now, it's not super economically aggressive. It's went shrine into vault, but it's only one iron vault, so there's only going to be a single brute here, which means that opens up a lot of potential here for MaNa to get some decent damage done.
But have you considered, Rushy, that 2 fiends are faster than a hedgehog?
It's true, but there's a lot of potential. I think maybe I'm wrong. Especially since the first initial meeting here, and that one fiend is already at half, which is great for MaNa. But now it becomes a game of management here, because you see that this hedgehog does fire at a fast speed right away because it can bank up to 4 of these missiles. But once it uses its full payload, it then goes into a consistent but much slower attack pace. So yeah, as he dives in, he can't stick around. He has to be able to let those missiles reload, and that's going to be Refresh's opportunity to get some of this harassment back in. So taking a little bit of damage here, it's not terrible, but it's something that he's going to have to be wary of. Oh, that was almost a complete surround here. All of those units are greased up like butter at this point, but now some of these fiends start to fall, and now Refresh is getting a little taste of his own medicine, BeoMulf.
That he is, and yeah, the Stormgate engine, securing surrounds is really hard. I swear, anything you're trying to surround, it's made of butter. It is so hard to get your hands on top, but now the gods are gonna be out a little bit more. And this is one of the, when you open 3 triple shrine like this with off a single bolt, you're not gonna have conclaves that fast. You're not gonna have gaunts out enough to contest this. And now, by the way, Hedgehog up to level 1. Bonus HP, bonus damage, a little bit more range. The Kite job becomes that much stronger. So like, this is, I mean, MaNa behind this. He's got himself his natural. He's starting to probe that, or not probe. He's starting to go and servo that up a little bit. He's building up. I keep thinking I'm seeing Vulcans, but no, that's Brutes on the way. He's done a lot of damage to Refresh early on. Now again, Refresh is on triple shrines, so he can go and regenerate some of this. But even still, these 2 Hedgehogs, these 3 Hedgehogs have caused a problem. This Hedgehog is not even gonna go down. There's no, what's the new upgrade called? There's no Soulbrand Chakrams. So no damage over time. That does make it actually a little bit easier to deal with these hogs. And now we're just kind of at this point where MaNa is very content to sit here and put pressure on and listen to the gremlins slowly die, and they sound like an old man groaning. But yeah, at this point, this is impressive, and I think it's an early one. I think Refresh is just kind of dead here.
Yeah, this is really working out for MaNa. He had to stick a little bit longer. He did lose that first Hedgehog, and I think losing any forces you into sticking around to get additional damage, because it is an expense. I mean, you've got to get some Therium, you've got to get some units into a specific tech tree. It's not as simple as I'm going to build my first building. So any amount of damage loss for MaNa is something he does have to recover, but he's done a really good job of navigating that. And because of all the pressure that he's pushed out, this is going to be a very rare Vanguard first Stormgate. So it could be an opportunity. I mean, a Faerun here would be incredibly strong and top up all of these units, and it would just be right back in Refresh's face if that happens. But we could also see a Soul Forge as well. There's so many things that the Vanguard would love to make duplicate copies of. A Faerun here, though, I really like. And yep, exactly. Turning back to the top side of the map, this Faerun's going to top off these units, and they're going to become a force to be reckoned with.
That they will, but if you take a look here, and I was trying to just track around in my head, count how many workers each side has. The income's actually pretty equivalent. Despite all this damage, MaNa is still in a great spot. He's up 25 supply. Of course, some of that is the Faerun. And taking down that Ritual Chamber is so impactful, because what it means is we're going to see, man, the Shroud Stone melts. It's a heavy structure. It's got the heavy tag. Hedgehogs do bonus damage to heavy. But taking down the Ritual Chamber means no Flaming Imps, which was so useful in that game 1, I think it was, in the to force this all back. So useful to get Soulbound Chakrams to make sure that you can actually have damage that sticks over time. As it stands, that's not going to be there for a while. You got to rebuild it. That gives you more time for MaNa to continue this aggression. And now the shrine's about halfway done. This is a timer now. You have to commit into this right now, lest you lose your shrine. So he's gonna go do so. And the Faerun's just about out of energy. 15 energy, all that remains. So he's actually, the healing is gonna run out pretty soon. And it's just about right now, but the shrine goes down. And this is not like a Celestial situation where you can build it up fairly quickly. MaNa, with a 20 supply lead, taking out a lot of these imps. There's gonna be the lash going in, not on the Faerun though, identifying that it's out of energy. Just trying to kill off as many of these cards as possible. And now chasing forward, but the Soulbrand Chakram is only about halfway done. Another hog will fall. And you know, even as bad as this is very bad. MaNa might just win with this push. If Refresh is able to go and buy enough time, I mean, we've seen him come back from, maybe not this bad, but we've seen him make some pretty cool comebacks. And now Soulbrand is done. But the third base is dead. And this is not a Shroud. I don't know. I think this is a Stormgate Rushy that's going to get contested all that much.
Yeah, it should just go to MaNa. I think he should just turn and head that direction. But I understand why he wants to continue to put on this pressure, because if you allow Refresh to get back into the game, it can cause his own demise just because he is lax in the response of trying to keep his opponent on his toes. But I don't know that he's got a whole lot here. I mean, once these units get damaged up, they're going to get curse inflicted onto them because the Soulbound Chakrams are completed. And I was going to say, I think that should be the moment where he goes, nope, I don't have a fight here anymore. And as long as my opponent isn't able to easily fight on Shroud, I'm going to have the advantage. As he starts to add in Vulcan, he's going to be able to get some additional energy back onto this Faerun as it regenerates over time. But the addition of medtech are going to be very, very useful as well. And I personally think that the benefits from this Stormgate are going to be very, very impactful if he wants to continue moving forward in this game, because he's already taking care of the tech transfer. He's already going to get himself in a better position. He just has to wind up and swing again.
think it depends on what it is. A Vile Lurker is a great option if you're trying to go, and you gotta be careful, right? Because the Vile Lurker does do friendly fire, and it's a mobile Atlas is effectively what it is. It does a lot of damage, not quite as much damage to units as an Atlas does. It's 70 versus 90, but it does 210 damage versus structures. It's incredibly good at breaking entrenched positions. As for now, a couple hogs will go down, but the Fae are in just enough energy back to go and survive a little bit more, and Nanoswarm is done as well, so there's just so much healing on the side of this mech army. Now we do have Flaming Imps ready to go, looking for the explosion, not quite able to intercept, and now more Imps coming down the backside as well. Look at this refresh, look at this is no world where this should be a defense, but he's gonna make it happen anyways. Vile Lurker's gonna fall down as well, and this Atlas, they're all falling down. Oh man, the Flaming Imp flank. He wipes MaNa. MaNa's still in a great spot, right? That is still economy that you're spending. But that was looking like it was going to be a game-ending push. And instead, he forces MaNa back onto his side of the map. He's going to kill off a lot of these hedgehogs. This is a miracle fight from Refresh. And you got to back him now, I think. But he has bought himself so much from that one engage.
I mean, this puts it back in the game. The reality is Refresh now has an opportunity to wipe his opponent out with a 4-0 win in this series, and this is about the best moment he's had here in game number. MaNa spent a lot of time really targeting down the Weavers, and I think that has been a little bit of it's a catch-22, right? You really want to isolate out the opportunity for Refresh to pick off some of your higher value units, your Vulcan, some of like the Faerun, and some of the additional Stormgate units. But at the same time, it's costing him so many of these hedgehogs, which he can't afford to lose. He needs this damage potential, especially with these brutes bearing down on his army. He's got Infernal Fury, and he's got to be able to hang on here. He's going to try and use the healing zone to keep himself in this engagement for a little bit longer, but I think as the Shroud gets pushed forward, there's going to be less opportunities here. MaNa's just going to give up the Ghost. He's just losing all of these hedgehog, and now suddenly this gives Refresh a chance to catch his breath. He's got his fourth base saturated here. He's getting up into the Demon Hoof Tremors in his Magmadons. That's going to be able to help him deal with the Vulcans of his opponent, and now he's going to be able to start going on the offensive if he wants to start targeting down this Stormgate.
It's all about this Harbinger drop that MaNa was having to deal with in the main base as that fight happened. MaNa had to go deal with it. It's a Harbinger. It's a bunch of Gaunts. They have, barely stays alive there. Because the moment you start losing servos, you start turning them into phantoms, and it snowballs really hard. So Harbinger drop went in. MaNa had to go spend his attention on that one, which meant that the hedgehogs were able to go down. Now, is this a horrible position for MaNa? No, it still is not. He's on 5 bases. He's looking like he's getting up into a 6th. The economy is still a very good spot here for MaNa, even though he kind of keeps losing these fights in the mid game. But Refresh, if he keeps doing this, that's what you're going to be looking for as he now comes flooding down the ramp, trying to get on top of these hogs. Half his Gaunts, though. They're fighting the Stormgate. They're not fighting the armies of Flaming Imps. Are going to try to go in once again, converting some of these units into phantoms. But the Flaming Imp, this last one's going to have to run away. Damage now getting pumped into this tier 3 Stormgate once again. And Refresh, for now, continues to have to back up here. It's awkward fighting around the Stormgate. So you're just trying to find as much value as you can. The Shadow Flyer is a bit of a waste here, only for the single Hornet. But now, Vulcan's getting at it in just a little bit more here. The Concave from MaNa is delicious. But the Flaming Imps looking to find their way on top of the backside. Not nearly as impactful this time, because again, the splits, the tree splits are fantastic. And the Flaming Imps, left side, get a little bit more here, but Refresh is losing this one really badly. The drop on the left side looks like that was handled as well. The Harbinger is dead. So it's all about the fight in the middle. And while this Stormgate may actually not get claimed, I don't think there's enough time to get all the damage done. MaNa has taken a beautiful fight around it. He's forced Refresh to fight into him. And it's just really cost-effective trades. Meanwhile, MaNa's got his 5th base. He's got a 6th and 7th base going. So Flaming It's a little bit more. It's a good flank, but you don't want to target the Vulcans realistically. You want to get the rest of them. And the splits for MaNa are just making that so difficult.
Oh, no, that was a great fight in the middle. You talked about the spread here. More Flame Imps trying to come in. They get a good connection with a good chunk of the army and Arc clean up a majority of the Hedgehogs, but the Hedgehogs continue to be rallied in. Yeah, the Shadow Flyers, all they can do is watch as the carnage and the chaos on the ground unfolds in front of them. And as good as the Flame Imps are, they are guaranteed economical damage. So being used defensively here means that MaNa is just accomplishing his goal, that he is going to get some economical damage done on this particular base. But I mean, it's a necessary evil at this point. It is going to force down a Vulcan retreat here. That one Vulcan had 1 HP left at that point, but a huge amount of repair coming down here by that Nano Swarm keeps it in the fight. And I think Refresh is on his final legs here. He just doesn't have enough to be able to respond here. Tier 1 units are not going to be enough to deal with the overwhelming power of these Vulcan as they continue to walk forward. More Flame On Imps do make good connections here, but I just don't know if there's going to be next to enough to really deal with this in the end.
Yeah, what we're really seeing right now is the lack of Molten Touch. No tier 3 available. I don't think he ever got to it. Yeah, no, he did, but never was able to have the room, the opportunity to get Molten Touch. It meant those Nano Swarms kept these Vulcans alive so much longer. So MaNa takes a map. We get to move on to game 5. All right, Rushy. Game 5, Black Spire. It's a map with 4 Stormgates, not 5. It's got some really cool, I think this is technically the Arculus. It's got some really cool, different doodads all across the map. Important to point out, by the way, because someone, I remember, I think it was Refresh was playing on this map. He tried to go and mess around with these trees. These trees are not interactable. They're just doodads. They're not like actual trees. So important to point out, but it's a pretty map, Rushy.
Yeah, I like it. I'm just kind of like cruising the outside edge here. Like, it's very pretty light blue. I'm all for it. Oh, we got a wreckage in the top left. Oh, sad.
Rusty, you cannot ban channel owners. That is actually impossible. As Tiska75, thank you so much for the Prime Gaming sub as well. And if you like Rushy, by the way, on the other side of this guy also streams. So stop what you're doing right now. And if you're watching this on YouTube, stop what you're doing right now. Go over to his channel. Go subscribe to his channel too. Twitch.tv/RushySC. Means that he finally streams some. Been a while. If enough people come in and sub while he's offline, surely he's going to come back.
I was streaming last week.
Yeah, but like,
it hasn't been that long.
It has been over 1 hour.
That's fair. That is quite a long time in the internet.
Yeah, I've just forgotten who you. Everyone's forgotten about you already. Like, who is this guy?
I was never notable. But
technically not true. You do have notability in both Stormgate and the StarCraft 2 Liquipedia pages.
That's so true. He's so right. Ugh. I just wanted him to say it out loud. Got him.
I've been mind gamed.
It's a rare moment for me to mind game you. Usually it's the so I'm grateful for the opportunity.
I am. You know what? Sometimes we got to give the people what they want. People were talking about it was Joe's. It was like the Stormgate was Joe, and I'm like, okay, I know what they're going for here. Who's Joe? And they all got so excited. I'm like, you know what? Sometimes you just got to give the people what they want.
Okay, we have returned back to the first 3 games forms here for both players. I like that MaNa is playing a little bit more defensively. It's a little more active in the defense here, and being able to use this Hedgehog to chase those fiends away. Yes, absolutely what you want to see if you're the Vanguard player. So it's not an overwhelmingly crazy opening one way or the other. We are going to get a second mech bay, which again is not crazy. It's going to get us into more Hedgehog play once again, but Refresh is often a good start. Getting this Gaunt count kind of put together. He's getting an additional Conclave to help support that. But the best part, it's the Chakrams that are on their way. The Soul Brand Chakrams that are going to allow for Curse. That's what was missing really in game number 4 for Refresh. So being able to be on the map with an opportunity to inflict Curse, going to put him in a better position, but I don't know if it's going to give him the opportunity to be able to contest this Stormgate.
We're gonna have to see. For now, it is 2 hogs, as the Lancer's gonna have to run back. So 2 hogs don't really kill this all that quickly, or I guess claim it, destabilize it, stabilize it, whatever it is, all that quickly. And especially with the effigy getting dropped, you have to be careful. Hogs don't like to be cursed, right? That bonus damage when you're sitting here at like only 230 HP, it does matter. But he's doing a pretty nice job of kiting this out. And I don't know how much. No, he's on 3. Never, what am I? He's on 3 shrines. He should have enough energy to get to leave these up pretty consistently. But for right now, this is actually, Rushy, starting to feel like a Stormgate that is going to get drawn. It's still a nice dive in there on the effigy. It does feel like it feels like we're at a point where it's going to be very difficult for anyone to claim it, but MaNa's units are low, and Refresh is doing a good job of getting a lot of, so Refresh is going to get the first Stormgate. There we go. MaNa is not able to claim it this time, but does have 3 bases going. He's going up to 5 mech bays. He's going to be building a lot of hogs, and it works out pretty well.
And I'm super glad that they nerfed the Faerun a little bit. Before this patch, the Faerun just had infinity energy and was able to provide so much support for armies. So still very strong, still like a useful, tangible goal to fight for, but definitely in a better place. But this is still going to be a very scary push if Refresh wants to get across the map. I think he could. I think he's got what he would need to be able to put down pressure, especially with no Vulcans just yet. But it is going to be 4 mech bay production of hedgehogs, which is kind of interesting. I don't know if MaNa really has the economy to afford that right now. And it's definitely not the case. Like, he just doesn't have any cash. He's able to rock 3, but 4 is a bit of a stretch. So instead, it's now going to be an exchange of map positioning. So both players are going to try and get a little sense of what's happening here. The 4th base setup for Refresh is going to get denied. Should? No, he's going to leave it with 9. He's going to leave it with 1. MaNa, you were so close. You just didn't get enough in time. So it's still going to be a weak target. So that's not going to be something that Refresh can just ignore. He is going to have to deal with that at this point. But a Harbinger is going to come out and is going to be able to provide some additional pressure and coverage one way or the other. The 4th base is now going down for MaNa. And transonic rockets are going to make these hedgehogs better, but there's got to be a transition to MaNa.
I mean, this late game Vanguard army can be very strong when you start to get to the Vulcans and things like that. But for right now, just trying to chase on top, drop a bunch. It's flaming imps inside. Well, they're not flaming just yet. That's a very nice pick here on the Hellborn, taking some of these big beefy units down. But this man, this flank is so cool. And technically, you can do it in an even more interesting way. If you get seismic slam, just stun everything. The charge up time is long. It's hard to pull off, but it can work out as a flame imp. The flank's going to show up here. There's nowhere for them to go. They're all trapped into a corner. He's just going to blow them sky high, and MaNa's going to lose pretty much his entire army, which is exactly what you're looking for. You can go kill a base. You can go kill off a lot of workers. You can go kill a bunch of hedgehogs, but we are getting back a little closer to production, and the numbers are still decently high as we're going to see the medtech get lashed in. It's going to go get stunned up, running away, healing itself back up, and should be fine. This army, a Weaver can apparently just walk on top of this platform. That's a thing.
That too.
I mean, Weaver at one point did have cliff lock. I don't think it does anymore, so not sure what's up with that one, but hey, Weaver, you can just it's floating above the air. I don't know what's happening here, but the Faerun's gonna get taken down. That is something. But man, this Weaver just looks so funny.
Yeah, it doesn't actually exist. It's just a figment of his opponent's imagination. I didn't know we got hallucinations in this game. Let's go.
Oh, it does. And now second Flaming Imp Drop's going to go right on top of the heads here of everyone. And you just got to run away. Flaming Imp exploding. Actually not going to land all that well for the time being. The splits are solid. MaNa, of course, seasoned StarCraft 2 player, but this timing is just too strong. It feels like the 4th base is going to get taken down. It's only hedgehogs. There are no Vulcans until right now, so there's not a lot of splash damage to deal with this. It's just all on this Mash Repairs. The Vulcan's going to get lashed in, but no Ramparts available, so no shield. And this is just, Refresh hits the timing, hits the gritty, as the children say, goes up 4-1, wins this best of 7, the lion's share of our $500 prize pool, and MaNa, you have to fight for second in the final match of the day.